How do mongrels? How you doing? On my last vid, as you saw, I was knocking back some homemade mead, and I said if there was enough comments about it, I would show you how to knock it up. So today I'm going to show you the easiest recipe I found. It is so easy, in fact, it is easier than offending a feminist. So I'll take you in, show you the ingredients, then show you how to knock it all up. It really couldn't be simpler. So what you need to make this mead is 5 litres of water, 3 pound or 1.4 kilograms of honey, a slack handful of raisins, balloons, and some dry active yeast, 1 level teaspoonful. Let us begin. First thing you're going to need to do is empty some of the water out of this. The reason I'm using a 5 litre bottle of water straight out the thing, supermarket, is because you don't need to sterilise anything. It's already come sterilised, already in a container, etc, etc. I'm going to empty out about a third of this, because obviously I'm going to fill this up with the honey. And I'm also going to put the honey in some warm water on the hob, just to make it a bit easier to pour in. You've obviously still got the water there if you need to top up at all. That should do nicely. I'll go whack these in. Now, the whacking the honey in the warm water isn't a necessity, as I say. I just find it a lot easier to pour in. So, yeah, I'll show you how it looks as it comes out while I'm waiting for that. That's the white one I made. Tastes just like white wine. Sweet, delicious, brilliantly served chilled. The longer you leave it, the better it gets. I'm probably about 2.5 to 3 months into it now. And it's settled lovely and is very drinkable. That's the red. Basically, done exactly the same process, but I've got some forest fruits from Lidl, the frozen stuff. Dumped all that in there as well. And it really is as simple as that. I'll go get that shizzle. While we're waiting for that, here I've got some wine yeast, dried active wine yeast. I'm going to use 1 level teaspoon of this into there. Add a little bit of water. I'll give it a stir, and when that starts bubbling, you know it's ready to add. It's important that you keep your water, I believe it's about 21 to 24 degrees, room temperature. I never measure anything and it seems to work for me. So I will just leave that there to start bubbling. And go get the shizzle me nizzle. Before I do that, the reason I use wine yeast is this all dies off about 14%, which is approximately what I want my yeast to be. So you can drink it like beer, but it's got a proper kick to it. I got that stuff from eBay, Amazon. I think it's about 3-4 quid, and there's loads in there. I can make shed loads of it. Yeah, honey is just sugar. As you can see with the ingredients, it just says pure honey. So that all goes in. I'm using a little bit more honey than the 1.4 kilograms, purely because the last one I made, I added more honey at the end of it to sweeten it up a bit. So as I had some left over, I thought, might as well just sling it straight in now. I'm going to need to empty a little bit more water out. But luckily, all the honey's on the bottom. You need to leave a little bit of an air gap. I'll show you in a minute because you need to mix all this together. And also, when you add your yeast and it's frothing, this all bubbles up with CO2. So you need enough gap, just like on this one here, if you can see it, to allow it to bubble and not all come spurting out. Right, honey's in now. So now what you've got to do is shake it as if you're a teenage boy on Rita Ora's Instagram till it's all mixed in. Gives you a sweat on. Let's have a look at that. If you look at the bottom, there's nothing stuck on the bottom, which means it's pretty well mixed in. Lovely job. Just let that settle for a minute. What I'm also going to do is add to this now a slack handful of raisins. Now the reason for the raisins, it gives the yeast the nutrients it needs. Literally about 10 will do you. I've had a few more in there because I don't know what I'm doing. Tidy this stuff up before my wife comes in and moiders me. So I left the yeast for about 20 minutes and as you can see it's just started being activated. I'm now going to add that to the honey and put the cap on. Now with this cap, I'll show you how it's done. You can get the proper valves that are full of water to let the air out. I'm going to show you how to do it with a balloon. Does exactly the same job. Lets the CO2 out but no oxygen in. So add the yeast in there like so. As much as you can in there, obviously. I'll give it a little shake. I don't know if you're meant to or not, but it worked last time. Now, to make the valve, get yourself a safety pin and a balloon, and you go at it like a childless girlfriend approaching her 40s. And just put a few holes into the balloon. And then put the balloon over the top of the bottle. We will come back and check to see if that is inflated. If it's inflated, it means everything's working. And that is it. That is the first part of how you make your mead. I'm doing this in real time. I've just made this. In 2 weeks' time, I will drain it all off, get rid of the yeast, put it into separate bottles, let it sit for another 2 weeks. After that, I'll rack it again, i.e. bottle it, and maybe a third time. But within a month, it's ready and set. So this is the end of the first part of the video. All you need, once again, slack handful of raisins, some wine yeast, dried active wine yeast, 5 litres of water, 10 litres, depends on what you want to do, 1.4 kilograms or 3 pounds of honey, and you're golden. It is that bleeding simple. If you look over here, the other one you might be looking at, that is maple syrup but caramel flavour. It could turn out to be rats, but you don't know until you try. I'm going to pack all this stuff away and hope it helped. if you're interested and you want to see more and you want to see the second part, well, I'm going to have to make the second part anyway, and otherwise I'll be a proper spadoofer. Yeah, that'll be up in a couple of weeks. Let us know what you think. Ta-ra!